Hello and welcome to Deborah Hanson Read with Me. I'm Deborah Hanson. So what I decided to start doing is just little quick summary reviews, which I'm calling in a nutshell, of the chapters from Chains by Laurie Halse Anderson. If you're familiar with my YouTube channel, you know that I read the chapters completely word for word, and then I do summaries in those as well. But I thought maybe if you're just kind of running to a quiz or you forgot to read the book and you have a book club meeting or something, you may want to just have a quick review of the chapter that you need to be discussing or the chapter you have a quiz on. So here we're going to do chapter 2 in a nutshell. And here we go. Let's start. Okay, let me just go to the next slide. I've got them on slides just because I know that sometimes you guys like to take notes as we're doing it. And sometimes it's really just easier for you to read along or just listen. It doesn't matter. So in chapter 2, we know that the funeral for Miss Mary Finch has just ended. And Isabel is feeling really nervous and scared at this point. She approaches the pastor, Pastor Weeks, and she asks him where she and Ruth should now work or live while she's looking for work, because now she doesn't have a home, she's free, so she's a bit nervous about this. She's never been like this. She's still a young kid, right? We're assuming she's probably around 12 or 13, so she's really young, and she's got her younger sister to look after. So she's trying to explain to Pastor Weeks that she knows that Miss Mary freed her in her will that she read herself, and after it was composed. Mr. Roberts doesn't believe Isabel and accuses her of lying and says slaves don't read, which, to be fair, at that time, he's right. Slaves didn't read. Owners didn't teach their slaves how to read because that would be dangerous, right? That would not be good for them to know. The more information they knew, that was not good for the owners. So they really wanted to keep them sort of like in the dark, basically, and reading would not have helped. But Miss Mary Finch had different ideas. She believed in teaching Isabel because Isabel's super smart. We know that. She's got an amazing memory. She's got a photographic memory. She is really smart. So Miss Mary Finch taught her how to read. But here's the quote that shows a nice side of Mr. Roberts, sarcastically here. Slaves don't read, Mr. Roberts said. I should beat you for lying, girl. This is just another glimpse into his lovely personality, right? Pastor Weeks tries to help Isabel because he cares for Isabel. Like he wants her to. I think he realizes that Mr. Roberts here is not the nicest person on the planet. He asks about the will, but apparently the will's disappeared, and as well as the lawyer who wrote it, because during this time, we know historically, we're talking about, the American Revolution coming up. There's a lot of things going on. There's blockades happening, and it's impossible because the lawyers left the States. So they don't know where he is. They don't know where the copy of the will is. So, there may have been a copy of the will at the house, but of course we know that even if Mr. Robert would have found that, there's no way he would have actually produced that, because he sees dollar signs in Isabel and Ruth, and there's no way that he's going to lose that opportunity. So things are not looking good for Ruth and Isabel at this point. Okay, so when Isabel learns that Mr. Robert is planning on selling them, she freaks out, basically. Okay, so she's like, you're selling us? And the words flew out of her mouth before she could weigh them. And what that means is basically slaves don't talk back. Okay, like you just keep your mouth shut and you just listen, especially with people like Mr. Roberts, who's not exactly very kind. So she didn't even think, she just kind of like the frustration just flew out of her mouth. And she's scared now because she knows that she doesn't know what the future lies for them. She was scared before because she was uncertain about what to do, but at least it was on her own. It was going to be her own journey, whereas this is now she's in the hands of this evil man, and what's going to happen to them. Mr. Roberts borrows the pastor's wagon and driver to take them to Newport, where he plans on selling them. At this point, Isabel's having a flashback to the time when her family was sold, when she was sold to Miss Mary Finch. And this quote, if you are looking for a good quote for a book report, a book talk, whatever you're looking for, this is a powerful quote in this chapter. Papa fought like a lion when they came for him, the strongest lion, roaring. It took 5 of them with hickory clubs. And then Mama fainted, and I caught baby Ruth just in time. And there was lion's blood on the ground mixed with the dust, like the very earth was bleeding. Wow, I love that quote. There's some similes in there. There's imagery. There's powerful symbolism. Everything that you need really to talk about. You could go on and on, but if you have to do a CER about a particular quote, a claim evidence reasoning kind of idea, wow, like you you could make a claim. You could talk about, how, they're comparing the father to a lion and the blood on the ground and mixing. And I mean, so many things that you could do with this quote. So this is a really powerful one in this chapter. So that's the end of chapter 2. Again, if you want a more detailed version, you can go to the actual reading of the chapter, where I will stop and talk along the chapter and read. And this doesn't replace reading those chapters, guys, because, it really is important to read them. But this hopefully will help you today. And hopefully you do well in your quiz or your book talk or whatever you need. Please leave me a comment if you like this kind of format. And I'm going to try and do them for the rest of the chapters as in the book. And I answer all comments. Please be kind. I am a teacher, and my students do read the comments as well. We love watching the numbers of subscribers going up, and it's kind of a fun topic in our class. So yeah, anyway, hope you all have a good day, and keep reading.